This is a WKYT podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Victor and sometimes Andrea. I managed to get the opening right this time, unlike last time when I just kind of rattled something off and listening back to it. I was embarrassed for myself and everyone else involved. I was also embarrassed for Andrea because she called me out for confusing Dynasty and Dallas before she made it to where I made a correction within the podcast. So good for me. I think we can all agree it's been a long year. Granted, we have a few more months left to go. But I'm going to continue my completely unnecessary TV tournament bracket that I started last episode. And I will say, having looked at these now, I realize some of the greatest TV shows of all time are not on here. The Wire is not on here. Sopranos not on here. Rick and Morty, which I probably would have put on there, not on there. X-Men, the cartoon. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay, maybe those wouldn't have made it. Point is, I didn't create this bracket. I'm just going off what I was giving. So there we go. We're going to start with the round of 32. Is that how 64 divides? I figured that out. Math is hard. All right. Up first, The Twilight Zone versus The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I'm a big fan of both of them. Big fan of The Twilight Zone. But I'm going with The Fresh Prince. I think we can all agree Will Smith has done all right after that. His son has made some really interesting choices, including his Batman outfit. And one of my favorite connections Jaden Smith has to anybody is on the show Impractical Jokers. One time they had a punishment where they had to give each other tattoos, and one of them, they gave him a tattoo of Jaden Smith. Oh, and the cleaners are here vacuuming. Well, there you go. That's my life. So, you know what? I'm just going to keep rolling. So if you all hear some vacuuming in the background, or if somebody opens the door and doesn't realize I'm in here, you will get to hear that too. Anyway, the show Impractical Jokers, just do a quick search on YouTube for like Jaden Smith and Practical Jokers, because one of the guys, they put a tattoo of Jaden Smith on his leg. It makes no sense, and it cracks me up every single time I see it. And then from there on out, anytime he wore shorts, like there's Jaden Smith's face. And then I think it factored on later on when he went to a Jaden Smith fan thing, and he had to tell everybody about his tattoo. Anyway, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is winning that one. Up next, The Tonight Show versus Seinfeld. Again, big fan of the current iteration of The Tonight Show, but Seinfeld is winning this one. If Curb Your Enthusiasm was on here, I would probably put that one over it. I don't know if you've ever watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I think it's one of the funniest television shows of all time. I would also say, well, we're going to have a whole section dedicated to Tiger King here at the end, but if you're stuck at home right now and you have access to Netflix, you owe it to yourself. Up next, The Office versus Golden Girls. This one is very difficult, but I've recently started listening to The Office Ladies, which is Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey. And they do a podcast all about each of the episodes. It's very good. It makes you go back and rewatch them all to kind of see things that they're missing. And one of the interesting things about The Office, the guy who plays Mose, Dwight's cousin, who he's an interesting fella. He's actually the creator of The Good Place, one of my other favorite shows on here. Oh, also, quick update. Andrea let me know that since I cut The Bachelor in the first round, I was dead to her. So she may not answer if I call again at the end of the show. But you know what? It was still lost. So Bachelor wasn't getting past that anyway. Bachelor wasn't getting past much. I don't have a lot of... Well, I'll take that back. I have conflicted thoughts about it. It is very watchable. All right, anyway, we're going with The Office here. Hate to see the Golden Girls go by, but I love The Office. Up next, Glee versus Big Bang Theory. I don't really care who wins this one. Is that too harsh? As I said, I was a big Glee fan at first, which was a very interesting turn for like a 28-year-old guy. My roommate would come home sometimes, see me watching it. I think he had some questions. But you know what? Also, growing up, it was just me and my mom and my grandma. As a result, I ended up listening to a lot of the music they listened to. So it was a lot of like Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers and like Michael Bolton. So my musical tastes are a little varied. All right, so we're going Glee there. Let's see. Murder, She Wrote versus Law & Order SVU. Two great crime shows that have left a mark. You know, growing up, bedknobs and broomsticks. A big favorite of mine. Angela Lansbury going to the Isle of Naboombu. Boy, I probably butchered that one. Anyway, that was one of those movies that I watched so many times. I'm sure my mother was tired of it. And now that I have a child and I have to listen to Hot Dog, Hot Diggity Dog with the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, I know her pain. And in honor of forcing my mother to watch that movie over and over and over, I'm going with Murder, She Wrote because of the Angela Lansbury connection. Up next, The Vampire Diaries versus The Simpsons. The Vampire Diaries probably already got further than they should have, so this is a pretty easy walk there for Simpsons. Simpsons are on Disney Plus, and I've recently started rewatching them all, and the early ones aren't quite as funny. It really starts to hit its stride, and I haven't watched The Simpsons, the newer episodes, in years, so I don't know how that's going to play out. We will see. Up next, 60 Minutes versus the Hulk. There's a very funny Andy Bashir meme going around with the Hulk, and it's him turning into the Hulk whenever he hears about coronavirus parties. For that reason, I'm going with the Hulk. Maybe if it had been 48 hours, I would have gone the other way. All right, WKRP in Cincinnati versus America's Got Talent. As much as I love Terry Fader, I'm going WKRP. There we go. So that happened. On the other side of the bracket, in the South region, I don't know. So The Good Place versus Grey's Anatomy. I know the Grey's Anatomy recently upset a lot of people whenever they got rid of one of the original cast members. He left his girlfriend and went back to Izzy or something. And you know what? You all don't deserve that. And that's why I'm going with The Good Place. Also, I love The Good Place. And if you've never seen the movie Midsummer or Midsommar, one of the guys from The Good Place is in that. It's a very good, creepy, scary movie. And if you're stuck at home right now, it's on Hulu, Amazon Prime. It's on one of them. I enjoyed it. I think I've mentioned it on here before. Up next, Gilligan's Island versus Wonder Woman. I'm obviously a big superhero fan, but I never watched a lot of Wonder Woman, the show. It always seemed kind of slow. Whereas Gilligan's Island, I enjoyed all the things the professor could make out of coconuts. It'd be very handy nowadays. All right, up next, I Love Lucy versus Cheers. Those two heavy hitters. But Woody Harrelson's bartender character, I absolutely loved him. Frasier Crane would go on to be in Frasier. I loved Frasier. Kelsey Grammer was great as the Beast in one of the worst X-Men movies. So we're going with Cheers. All right, up next, Parks and Rec versus the Brady Bunch. I'm going with Parks and Rec here in a walk. You're going to see that I'm a big fan of a lot of the NBC recent comedies and a lot of that group that put all those together. I enjoyed Brady Bunch. I enjoyed the movies, but Parks and Rec is just so much better. For me, I think it holds up better. I realize there's a certain amount of nostalgia with Brady Bunch, but I think a lot of nostalgia is misplaced and causes us to hold on to things that we should be willing to let go. I think they're outside making important decisions right now because nothing important is happening in here. Up next, Friday Night Lights versus The Price is Right. This one's tough. If you listened last time, you know how much I love Friday Night Lights. I couldn't bring myself to watch the last episode. I should probably do that. It may bring me some closure, some sort of catharsis. Who knows? Side thing. Apparently, a lot of people think quarantine is spelled quarantine. Somebody emailed us about it, and then I saw a post of somebody else saying, "Go home and quarantine yourself." Quarnteen. It's funny, but just if you're in public, don't say quarantine. Well, if you say it fast enough, don't write out quarantine. There we go. That's my tip for the day. I'm going with The Price is Right. I think about playing Plinko. I think about the little hill climber guy yodeling. I think about all the time it was there for me when I was stuck at home. All right. Up next, SNL versus ER. ER is kind of I guess Saint Elsewhere, is that I don't know. There are a lot of medical shows, but I feel like ER was one of the biggest of all time, and then that kind of fed into all of the other medical dramas. And if you love those, you owe a lot to ER. But I owe a lot of my bad sense of humor to SNL. I've already told you about my love of Eddie Murphy's Greatest Hits, Wilkin Nub, in high school. I was a big Adam Sandler fan. I had his first 2 CDs. Probably weren't appropriate for me, but there we go. I had them. So I'm going to SNL here. Up next, American Idol versus 24. I've only watched like a season and a half of 24. I know people are going to be really disappointed. Again, Sean Moody. I'm going to be really sad. But I'm going with American Idol here because I watched the first 4 or 5 seasons, and then I would go in and out occasionally. And, I've fallen down some YouTube rabbit holes where I just watch people audition. There we go. Up next, The West Wing versus Lost. Lost still gets it, even though they asked questions they couldn't answer. The other day, we were at home. I started watching Cloverfield, which is produced by J.J. Abrams' company. So they have the same bad robot thing, and they actually have some connections to Lost. And if you've never seen Cloverfield, it might be kind of freaky right now. That's all right. I've seen a lot of people apparently watching Contagion and the movie Pandemic. Don't do that to yourselves. Why would you do that? But Cloverfield, I don't think there's a giant monster running around, so at least that one's a little far off. I think it still holds up. I think it's a very good movie. There we go. So now we have our top 32. And it's only been 12 minutes. I might as well keep going. All right, up next, we're going back to the East to determine our Elite 8. At some point, I'm going to call Andrea and see if she can help me with these. But sorry, let me see if I can pull up her number. But I'm not going to do it as live as I did last time because it's just embarrassing to me when she doesn't answer. Although you all might be able to hear that. Let's think. Okay, up next, we have The Fresh Prince versus Seinfeld. This one's still hard for me. I'm going Fresh Prince, though. I think about it all the time with DJ Jazzy Jeff. I think about doing the Carlton. I think about Aunt Viv, how they switched her out. That probably wasn't right. Oh no, if y'all hear that.
9.
Oh, I probably shouldn't include her phone number on here. Anyway, yes, it is an 859 number. There we go. Up next, The Office versus Glee. Glee got lucky to make it here anyway. It was what? Gossip Girl and Big Bang Theory, so it had kind of cakewalks, and then it loses to The Juggernaut. Not even close. And there we go. The Office, Fresh Prince, both in the Elite 8. All right, up next, Murder, She Wrote versus The Simpsons. I'm going with The Simpsons here. I love Murder, She Wrote. I mean, I really do, and I know a lot of my family does. But Simpsons, just a classic. And the Simpsons arcade game. I don't know if you all have been to the Burl here in Lexington, but they have a lot of really fun arcade games. Right now is probably not a good time to go. I don't know why I brought that up. I think it's actually closed down. Anyway, hopefully a few months from now, you'll be able to go to the Burl and enjoy that. And one of the things they have there is the 4-player Simpsons arcade game, which you get to play each of the 4 members of the family, except for Maggie, because she gets kidnapped. But, yeah, I always enjoyed running around, flailing my arms about as Homer. All right, up next, The Hulk versus WKRP. Wow, WKRP is going to make it into the Elite 8. I have at least one friend who's going to be really excited about that. I was a big Lonnie Anderson fan when I was younger. I know that's going to be surprising. I think a lot of people, when they were young, were. So there we go. All right, well, that half of the bracket is set. Up next, The Good Place versus Gilligan's Island. And this one isn't close to me. It could just be recency biased and the fact that the show just ended and I loved it so much. But I'm going with The Good Place again. Boom, there we go, in the Elite 8. Up next, Cheers, Parks and Rec. NBC's done a good job with comedies. I think we can give them some cheers. Although I know that they revived Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That probably should have also been on here. let's see. I'm going Parks and Rec again on this one. So if you've never seen the outtake where Chris Pratt makes everyone laugh really hard at the meeting, it's worth looking up. It's not family friendly, but it always cracks me up. All right, The Price is Right versus SNL. This is two titans. This is like some sports analogy I can't think of right now. But it's this is Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali. There we go. I did it. All right, but I'm going with The Price is Right. To reinvent here's the thing. They've always been consistently good, whereas SNL, sometimes it gets rough. There we go. Price is Right. Boom. All right, American Idol versus Lost. We're going with Lost on this one. Boom. No other show has consumed me quite as much as Lost did, even if it ended up letting me down in a way. I think my wife has never watched the final season, and we may end up doing that, but when you think about all the time they spent with the others, or the episode where they had like Paulo and whatever her name was, that was a complete waste. Maybe I should just delete them all away. No, we'll go with that. There we go. All right. Back to the other bracket. Fresh Prince versus The Office. This one hurts, but I got to cut the Fresh Prince. Here goes The Office. Made it to the final four. Shouldn't be that surprised. Up next, Simpsons, WKRP. I think I've talked about both of them as much as I can, so I just have to make a decision. I'm going with Simpsons here. Here's the other thing. I've never seen the Simpsons movie. I've heard it's good. I probably need to watch it, but I haven't gotten around to it. You know, there's a lot of content out there. All right, up next, The Good Place versus Parks and Rec. This one, these are two of my babies. These are two of the shows that whenever I hear people haven't watched them, I go, oh, you've never seen? Even though, let's be honest, there's a lot of stuff that all of us haven't seen. I've never watched The Sopranos. I know some of you all are probably very disappointed in me right now. I've also never seen The Godfather. You know what? Maybe I just don't like mafia stuff that much. I don't think I'm going to watch The Irishman. It's got to go in my heart here. All right, Parks and Rec it is. It's brought me so much joy. And finally, The Price is Right versus Lost. Price is Right it is. Yeah. You know, I just have so many happy memories connected to The Price is Right. I think for a lot of it, nostalgia, that's what it is. It's not even that a show may be that good, but you just think about the time in your life when you got into it. You think about, just when you're younger and you have less responsibility, things seem so happy. So there we go. My final four: The Office, Parks and Rec, The Simpsons, Price is Right. I think that's a good stopping point. We will finish this up next time. And, so, you may have been able to hear, but I tried to call Andrea, and she didn't answer. I don't know what she's doing. I'm sure it's probably something important. I'm not going to hold it against her, although she did say she wanted to do her own bracket where she tried to rectify the mistakes I made with The Bachelor. So if you see the random episode pop up that's just like Andrea's picks, you'll know what that was all about. Recommendations this week. Amber did an episode where she talked to Sam just about what it was like being a journalist right now, covering everything going on. It's hard on everybody, and so I think that was kind of a good listen just to hear what all it's been like for all of us. I will say we are incredibly fortunate that we're still working, because I have friends. I know people who, even if you are able to get unemployment right now, some people aren't able to do that just because the system's so backlogged. And even if you are able to get unemployment, it might just be a fraction of what you're used to. And so the cuts you have to make because of that, this is going to be hard on a lot of people. And, just the hope is that by taking care of it as much as we can, things are able to return to normal sooner rather than later. Although I'm not smart enough to guess when that would be. But yeah, just know that it's getting tough out there for people. We see your emails, we see your comments, but it's a tough world, so be kind to each other, everybody. All right, bye.